Well, alrighty then. Here's part two. I couldn't really make my mind up whether I wanted to kind of refurbish this or customize this. So I asked Mrs. Owegi what she thought. And she pretty much just said, well, you like customizing stuff and you're pretty good at customizing stuff. So customize it. So you know what? I'm going to customize it. Which means I'm bringing out the clippers. And warning to those with weak stomachs for vintage gear, this video may upset you. But here we go. You notice I got a pair of my clippers marked rough. These are kind of wearing, so I use them just for snipping stuff out. What I'm going to do is try to save as many components I can. These longer carbon comps, whatnot, I'll pull them out, test them. The ones that are within tolerance, I'll put them in my stash. The ones that aren't will go into the not so circular file bin. These, yeah, I don't even save them. I just kind of cut them out. Might save the wire on the ends, but yeah, they just pretty much go gone bye-bye. But something like this, I'll save because I'm going to reuse it. The tone stack in this is kind of like a James / Baxando, whatever you prefer to call it. Similar. Tweaked a bit. I might go with it, at least for the harp side, because I'm going to try to do some sort of harp and guitar amp thing with this. I stress try, because that's my vision. Whether I get there or not, who knows. Little self-contained head that maybe somebody in a blues band can pick up for the guitarist and or harp, or maybe they're a harp and guitar player. But enough with the chatting and onward to the snipping. And I will probably shut this video off in a bit. Let's see, got a resistor that we can check. Got to find me a bowl. Shouldn't be too hard. I got bowls galore around here. Okay, here's a bowl. These, as long as they aren't too crusty, I'll save these because you never know when you're working on a vintage piece of gear where a vintage shielding will come in handy. But one of these had kind of the whole thing going on. Or almost a hole. It was doing the boil up. There it is. Let me see. Stand up here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a bubble right there. Yeah. Replace them irregardless. I might save the covers just in case I reuse the same values. That might be neat. But save the covers irregardless. But I imagine snipping all this out will be boring, so what I will do is sorry, distracted by resistor. I like these old school resistors, man. That one's got enough length that can go on something. That go on a terminal strip, providing it tests well. These usually do as long as they don't get smoked with too much crime or something. Oh, there's a nice one. Go throw that in my old bin. Let me see something here real quick. Yeah, I say real quick. Now I just gotta wonder where I put it. I've got like 50 million parts drawers over here. Here, let's see. But anyways, here's some of them. It's not the ones I was looking for. That's those old caps. Most of these oil caps go bad, unfortunately. Yeah, well, anyways. Somewheres, I've got a bunch of these stashed away. But for now, gonna sign off and once I strip it, those of you that have passed out might wake up and then probably pass out again when you see everything removed. Sorry, guys. For those of you that would much have rather seen it restored, I do apologize, but let's see if we can't give the bulk of this, another decade of life or something being used. So I will be back when this is all stripped out, show you the parts and whatnot. All right, this isn't totally cleaned up yet, but mostly snipped up. And here's a look at the faceplate. Right here is one of the mods done before I got it. What I noticed is that the potentiometers don't match this. If you put it like on -16 here and you spin it this way, it doesn't quite reach +16. These were on the money, but these were off. And I believe this was off too. And you seem to have a piece of red tape here. This is where the light bulb goes. Light bulb would go up behind here, and I guess that kind of gives it a red look. Kind of neat. But anyways, that's faceplate. And here's the can cap, whatever you want to call it. I call it a cap can. Multi-section electrolytic capacitor. Yeah, there we go. But ESR-wise, this was all happy. Value-wise, they were all high, above 20%. So I'll just throw it off in the background, test it later. Sacrificial something when I'm farting around on something. This was cool. I guess I need to get this back. It's kind of was slid over there. So yeah, definitely want to keep that. But anyways, moving on. Here's the potentiometers and whatnot. Here's that 8-position rotary switch. I'm going to test that and see what I think I may or may not be able to do with it. Hoping to do like harp 1, harp 2, and guitar positions or something similar to that. These were for the hum balance. They have the little insulators on them right here to keep them from shorting out or whatever to the chassis. But these were the hum balance. And here's the knobs and whatnot that came off it. Yep, there's that light that'll go behind the faceplate here. Kind of a cool setup. Definitely will be reused. But here's the knobs down in there. Here's the jacks. That was part of the mod that was already done when I received it. Here's the caps. These will all be getting thrown out, but I'm gonna, try to save these paper covers. This was cool. This is what holds it to the chassis. So ring here. And here's a bunch of parts I gotta go through. Yeah, buddy. I know somebody's got to be wondering besides me. Let's see. 3 red, 2.2K. So let's see what we got here. Where's my meter? Let's see. Let's test this out. Let's throw it around. That wasn't part of the plan. All right. Well, there we go. Anyways, let's see what this says, or it reads, or whatever. Holly there. Silver 10%, 2.2K. Let's whoop it out. Why not? It's good, but for the hay of it, let's do it. And let's clear all this off. So what, 10%, 0.1 times 2200 for the 2.2 gives us 220. Subtract the 2200. Yep, that's good. That goes into the resistor stash for sure. But have to go through these. Oh, yeah. I found this interesting. This is what you call point-to-point wiring. So I'm a fan of point-to-point wiring. I like it. Yeah, what else we got here? Here's wire. Bunch of wire here. Go through it, save it, who knows. I mean, most of it looks pretty good, to be honest with you. Let's get rid of this, get this out of the way. I'll be doing the bull in the china closet thing. And alrighty, let's lift this up in there and get a look at it. I will go through and, clean stuff up, remove the solder. Probably pop the transformers off, get a better look at them. Chassis doesn't look too bad. This stuff here, that'll be covered, so maybe just clean it up a touch. So I don't know how much of that'll be used or not used, but I'll try to use what I can. Alrighty, so next up, I'm going to go in here and clean everything and test the transformers and go through these goodies, and then I'll probably be back and let you know what I found. Yeah. At this point, pretty much most of the components have been removed, cleaned up, tested, the bad stuff tossed out, and well, this is the good stuff. Here we have the power transformer and the output transformer. Both have been tested and are fine. I'm not going to go into how to test these things. There's gobs of information out there how to test transformers. There's no point in me going through all that in this video. But with that said, here's some information that I jotted down when I tested the output transformer. And here's some information I jotted down when I tested the power transformer. For transformers that were made in the late 1950s, these are in pretty decent shape. I'd say that someone has painted the bells somewhere along the way. But about all I'm going to do to them is most likely remove this bell here, add some heat shrink tubing to these wires so that the heat shrink tubing extends a bit out past the bell housing. Just a little added insurance is all. But yeah, power transformers are all good. And here's a look at that 8-position rotary switch. I would definitely say this thing was custom made, manufactured for this amplifier. It's not your standard rotary switch where you have like a common and 8 positions or 8 connections. This thing's all over the place. In this diagram here, real quick, W1's the front wafer, W2's the back wafer. The black dots are the back of the wafers, and the empty circles are the front of the wafers, the connections, that is. And each side of each wafer does have a common to all the connections. But that's about where it ends with the standard rotary switch that most of us are used to working with. For example, on this one connection is 1 through 3. This connection is 4 through 6. This connection's 5 through 7, like when you're clicking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. But between these two connections here, 5 and 6 common. And the front of the front wafer here, this has kind of like blips slash pulses. That is, when you click between 2 and 3, you get a blip, a pulse, but neither 2 nor 3 actually connect. So it's like switching 2 to 3, you get a pulse. Switching between 5 and 6, you get a pulse. Switching between 6 and 7, you get a pulse. But when you land on 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, you don't get anything, which isn't useful for this amplifier slash project. But the way they do that, it's kind of like a notch, like a knobby. When they're moving it, there's just a little notch. And there's 2 of them actually. So if I could get rid of those 2 notches, well, then I'd have a common and 8 connections, which would be useful. But there's enough variance here, enough options here that, yeah, I should be able to use this switch. Just got to be careful, make sure you don't ground a hot out or something. But yeah, that's the 8-position switch. And a quick look at that. And here's a few bowls of goodies. This actually isn't any good, but I'm saving it in case I want to do a Frankenstein project or something and I need a sacrificial cap. But let's see. And here's the cover that goes for it. I am trying to find a cap to replace this with the same values. This is 40, 10, 10, 10, all at 450. So far, all I've been able to find is 20, 10, 10, 10, and 20, 20, 10, 10. I might go with the 20, 10, 10, 10, and then just put a 20 microfarad cap out here in parallel. But see what happens. Anyways, here's 2 of the electrolytic capacitor covers that I managed to save. I didn't manage to save 2 of them. One of them, when I removed it, the back side that you couldn't see when it was installed was chewed up, so I didn't think there was much point in keeping that one. And unfortunately, another one, when I was trying to remove the electrolytic capacitor where they wrap these things, it started coming apart, so I tossed it. But managed to save 2 of them. Also, some screws and bits and bobs in there. Yeah, let's see, here's the potentiometers and the jacks. Kind of a mix of good and bad here. The hum balance potentiometers, wire wound potentiometers, they're 200 ohms, they're spot on. They function perfectly. They can be reused. And the 2 potentiometers with the built-in switches, everything works fine there. And the values are within tolerance. This is a 500K. They clocked in at 507K. This is a 500 ohm that clocked in at 512 ohm. So those are good. However, with these 3 500K pots, 2 of them, one's like 580 and one's like 582K, that is. I don't know why I don't have a K on here. I should have a K on there. Anyways, they're a little bit, the value's a little bit too far out. I'll keep them around to use for something. Like maybe with this capacitor here when I'm doing a Frankenstein test or something. But yeah, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, these are a little bit too far out of value. But this one, the third one, this came in at 541K for a 500K pot. That's acceptable as far as I'm concerned. See a lot of them that way anyways. So, and here's the 2 jacks that somebody in the past installed when they were modding the amplifier. One was an input jack, one was speaker output jack. Those are good. And here's some goodies. I always get excited over my carbon caps and my old caps and resistors and whatnot. But quite a few in there. And a lot of the old school shielding. That'll always come in handy. And the knobs. I mean, if you watched last video, there's not much to see here. Cleaned them up. It looks like they need to be polished, but I also got to be careful. Don't want that kind of gold brass looking stuff to start coming off. The light socket. Bulb was bad, not a biggie, but socket itself, this is in great shape. If I cleaned it up a little bit more and sent it to somebody, they'd think it was brand new. Kind of amazing how some of this older stuff lasts. But anyways, on to the chassis. Here's the front plate. Not much to see here, really. All there was some pencil marking here. I got it off for the most part. I don't know if you can really see that real good, but it's off. But anyways, depending on what end up doing with this amplifier, all this might get relabeled anyways. On to the chassis, which evidently I'm thinking is going to get spray painted, get repainted. When I was cleaning it up, just using just a standard bristle brush like this with like the nylon or plastic bristles or whatever, some of the paint was coming off. But if that wasn't bad enough, I tried to remove the dots that somebody put on here and removed even more of the paint. So yeah, I think this thing needs to be repainted. Remove all the components and repaint it. But anyways, let's get a look at this real quick. And if I remove all the components, might as well put new tube sockets in. Here's a look at this. Now they use the wafer style sockets here, which I have quite a few of these in stock, have the same size. So I could replace those with wafer sockets if I wanted to. But I think if I take the time to remove all the components and paint this, I don't know about you, but I think I would just opt for replacing all the tube sockets with new tube sockets. See what happens. But yeah, that's where we're at. Oh, look here. This is bracing. This thing's solid when it's all together. But I tell you what, when you're putting this thing back together, you better know what goes where before you start putting in all these screws and stuff. Yeesh. So again, this is where we're at with this project. And probably while I'm spray painting, redoing this chassis and everything, I'll probably start working on another amplifier that I have, because I also got to think about exactly what's going to be done to this chassis, to this amplifier, and also kind of design a circuit for it, and that'll take a bit of time. It's got to simmer in the old gray matter that's stored up here in the noodle bone. But yeah, it won't bore you with all that. Once we figure out where we're going, what's happening, we'll be back. But till then, yeah, buddy. Got a bunch of goodies here. Got a project in the makings, I do believe. And I would like to apologize, sincerely apologize to those who are probably shaking their heads and thinking, man, why didn't you refurbish this? I get it. But I also get customizing stuff. And if we can use what we have here and add a little bit and create us a new amplifier that can be loved and enjoyed and played on for another decade, I think that's a plus too.